Hi everyone, my name Bill Sanders and this is WatchArtSci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to be talking about traveling with at least some of your watch collections. This is called a roll, a watch roll, and believe me, they roll all over the place, so you have to be careful. What we're going to do is that we'll take a look at some of the decisions on which watches to take. The others you want to put away somewhere safe. I chose to put mine in a safety deposit box, and we're going on a cruise. And so I want to talk about some cruise etiquette with your watches and what to do with them when you go on a cruise. Okay, we'll be back in a second. I want to take a look at that roll that we've got there. Okay, here we have our what's called our watch travel roll, and these are the watches that I'm going to be taking on the trip with us. And there's a reason for each one of them. This particular trip is a cruise, and so there's going to be a lot of formal dinners. Well, the cruise line that we're going on is considered luxury light, so it's I call it semi-pretentious. So anyway, but there'll be a lot of times where you'd be expected to wear a coat and tie and a suit and so forth. And so this is a good chance to use some of my dress watches that I haven't been used too much. But there are other watches you need as well. Now, uh, two of the watches that I'm not taking with me, my Patek Philippe and my Audemars Piguet Day Date Moon Phase, uh, they went to a safety deposit box. So that's one thing. I would suggest that. Then you don't have to worry about it. Chances are nothing's going to happen. But if something does, somebody breaks into your house, or the place burns down, or something awful happens to your house while you're gone, at least your watches are safe. Now, the travel roll is carries three or four watches. Generally, right here it's set up the reverso on the far right, the verso right here. This is my wife's watch, and she'll wear. I think she has a quartz watch she'll wear for sort of the rough and tumble parts of the trip, which is traveling to and from and standing in endless lines. And I'll probably be wearing the Habring 2. Now, the thing about the Habring 2 is that when I get off the ship, we go into the different places. I don't want to look like the rich guy to get mugged, and so I can have the best of both worlds, really. I have a nice watch that doesn't look expensive. Okay, it looks just like a nice, okay watch, and it is. So that'll be the one that'll be wearing off the ship. Now, for the most part, I'm going to be for the formal dinners. The two watches that I took, the two dress watches I took for a reason. Uh, the A lot of times, at least the part that I like the most, is that when you sit down and you meet new people, uh, the easiest way to do that is that you sign up for a table with more than my wife and I, and anybody can sit there. And it's always fun to meet new people that way. And you want to hold up your end of the conversation. And so the two watches that I'm taking, dress watches, are the El and it's got wonderful stories. People, everyone from Marie Antoinette to Charles de Gaulle has had one of these. There's tons and tons of stories for El. Now, this particular El, I'm going to be doing a segment on at another time and talk about the brand itself. This other one is my Restaurant Constantin 1972. Now, this particular 1972, well, any of the three models they have of the 1972s have a wonderful story about the Prestige de France. And so that's always a good watch. And of course, this is Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso. Actually, it has a really cool story to go with it. And so, if my wife has to, I don't know if she even wants to talk about watches, but if they come up, now the idea of a having a good watch on a thing like a cruise is not so much to be pretentious. Okay, yeah, you got to watch out for that. You want to have a nice watch, and I think the most interesting thing is having a good watch story. Now, if you start talking about calibers and other kinds of things that aren't interesting to anybody who's not a watch collector, you're going to put them all to sleep. So, if when you bring your watches, you want to have a story. Even my Habring 2 has a wonderful story behind it, which of course is a husband and wife and how they put together their own little watch company. Now, the other watch I'm bringing, I'm going to be wearing most of the time. Definitely when I'm on the ship, I'm going to be wearing it. And this is my overseas. One does not go overseas without an overseas. I couldn't imagine going without this watch. But on the other hand, this may, on shore, some of the, I mean, we're not going to exactly to the rough part of town, so to speak, but people who see cruise tourists, I'm sure, choose in terms of different possible targets. And if you're wearing a Habring 2, you don't look like a target. If you're wearing a Vacheron Constantin, you do, or a Patek Philippe, or even a Rolex, especially a Rolex, I guess, because they probably know Rolexes more than anything else. So, so this is the watches that I've chosen to take with me. So let's talk about your watches and the etiquette and everything else when you go on a ship. Now, the one we're on, I think I mentioned, it's called Luxury Light, and I call it semi-pretentious. So off we go. Now, one of the things we like to do on our trip is to meet new people. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy that. Some people don't. There was this one guy who said, well, I don't want to meet anybody who I don't have anything in common with. Well, that's too bad. I'll go somewhere else. I'll go sit at another table. But one of the things you want to do with your watches is that you don't want to sit down with people and say, well, I got the best watch in the world, and you don't. Never do that. One of the first rules of etiquette is that there are no bad watches. I don't care if somebody's got a Timex with a car battery in it. You'll find something nice to say about it. It's very important. I belonged to this one car club, and a lot of people there had a lot of dough. And at the time, I didn't know anything about watches, and I had my old Rado, and I thought that was a fancy watch. What did I know? Anyway, one of the people I was with had this gold-encrusted, diamond-encrusted Rolex, and he found out something nice to say about my Rado, which I thought was really nice. The guy had true class. Is that what you want to do if you see a watch of any sort? You want to find out something nice to say about it. For example, Cartier makes one that's very popular called Balloon Blue. And there's a picture of the Duchess of Cambridge wearing a balloon blue. Well, if you know that little fact, you might bring it up. You don't want to bring up the fact that it may be a quartz watch and it probably has an ETA Iboche in it. So those things you want to avoid. So you want to find out something nice about everybody's watch. Your own watches, what you want to have is that you want to have a good watch story. And I'm not talking about the technical aspects of it, and certainly not why your watch is the best watch in the world and better than everybody else's. Excuse me. What you want to have is a story that's interesting. The watches I mentioned before that I'm taking along to get to go on a trip, each one, especially the dress watches, have a story behind them. And so when you talk about your watch, you want to talk about the story. I'm going to talk about my Eldorado in terms of Marie Antoinette's affair. I'm going to talk about my Vacheron Constantin in terms of the how it got its name, something about it that would be interesting to anybody, not just watch nuts. So the other aspect of it is that I'm taking 4 watches with me, well, plus 5 counting my wife's Jaeger-LeCoultre. When I'm not wearing them, the cabins all have a safe. I'm going to put them in the safe, and that's very highly recommended. And especially if you're taking some pretty good watches, because that can be your extremely valuable possession is the number of watches that you're taking and the ones you have, the stories that you have with them. So the watches, think of it this way. When you go on something enjoyable, whether it's a business trip or whether it's out to dinner with your spouse, the watches are not for status. There's always going to be someone who is richer than you are, someone smarter than you are, and someone's got a better watch than you have. I know that for sure. So find out nice things as much as you know, and always find out something nice to say, because the watches, to be enjoyable in the kind of interaction you're going to have, should have stories that anybody can enjoy. Not just watch elements, but rather how the watch plays a role in people's lives that do interesting things. Okay, well, that's my travel tip is that put your the ones who have to stay behind, put them in a safety deposit. When you go on a trip, it doesn't matter what, well, at least on a cruise trip, it doesn't matter what level you're on. If you're interesting and you have interesting stories, everyone's going to enjoy your company. Okay, that's it for today. My very short thing about travel. And remember, I'd love to hear your comments, either traveling on a cruise or traveling something in some other way. Oh, one last tip, a really good tip that I got from somebody else, is that before you leave, especially if you're making international trips, take a picture of your watch with a receipt for it. So when you come back through customs, they say, well, we're going to charge you customs on that. Oh, no. And if you have a picture of your watch with your receipt, that's one way to do it. That's a simple thing you can do, is just take your iPhone or Android and make a quick picture. Okay, that's it for today. Remember to, down here, to click the subscribe button, leave comments. I love comments. Tell me what you think. Any ideas you have about traveling with watches, love to hear them. That's all for now.